Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. I am Sean Anderson, Most Valuable Podcast, and the upcoming segment is from our full Fast Break podcast that we recorded. And if you do want to check out that full podcast, head over to Blog Talk Radio /The Fast Break. You'll be able to find the full podcast over there. But let's move on to my boy Miles Bridges. He declared that he's going to be returning back to Michigan State for his sophomore season. What time does it say when he announced it?
3 more years.
3 more years.
3 more years.
I don't know about 3 more years, but Miles Bridges is a guy who was in my top 10 for my last mock draft. He's going to be coming back to the NCAA and trying to win a national championship with the Michigan State Spartans. Not too surprising because Michigan State guys have kind of had a history of staying back. Denzel Valentine, Draymond,
I think it's an Izzo thing.
Gary Harris. Yeah,
he builds the right environment for him.
Yeah, I mean, what's his face? Went to the Grizzlies last year. Deontay Davis. He was a one and done. And then I forget the other guy who was a one and done. But pretty much most of the guys, like you said, they built a culture of coming back. So not too surprising that Miles Bridges came back. It's kind of surprising because of his talent. But you really look at his whole package, especially coming from Michigan State. It's not too surprising now after the fact. Do you think he's making a mistake, though?
No, not at all. And the reason why is the only way he would be making a mistake is if he gets injured, and he hasn't gotten injured yet, so it's not a mistake.
So if he gets injured, it will be a mistake.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where unless it's a freak injury where no one can obviously see that coming, I don't think it will, because I look at this season, and I actually love this decision for him to come back. Maybe it's because I'm more on the college side than the NBA side, but the thing with Michigan State you got to understand this year, they started out horribly in Michigan State's eyes. They lose to Arizona, they lose to Kentucky, lose to Duke, lose to Baylor, lose to Northeastern even. And Izzo actually told his team at the beginning of the season, I'm sorry for basically making our schedule too hard in the non-conference. They finished, their record at the end of the season was 20-15 after tournament games, 10-8 in the Big Ten. And I just look at what every other team is losing. Wisconsin's losing players. Maryland's losing Melo Trimble. Caleb Swanigan is leaving Purdue. And it's one of those things where
Illinois sucks.
Well, Illinois is behind them. I'm looking at the teams above them. Michigan's losing some big talent this year, and Wagner. Really, the only team that has eye in the sky with them is Northwestern, who's right with them. If I'm Miles Bridges, I'm going, fuck that. I'm coming back. I'm going to win a national title. And I love how he said, I got some unfinished business. Yeah, I'm going to win an NCAA title.
And I completely agree, because you look at what he did do. I mean, you look at obviously what he did. Nick Ward, that guy got better and better. I mean, in the tournament, he was killing it. Joshua Langford, Cassius Winston. I mean, there's 4 guys right there that are complete studs on that team. Michigan State's my favorite, at least to win the national championship. I know that's not what we're talking about here. But I don't think it's a mistake because, yes, I agree with you, but also I love Miles Bridges. I look at this kid, and he's got an NBA body already as a 19-year-old. He's going to be older, and we really haven't seen guys like sophomores and freshmen recently be top 10 picks. But you also look at the prospect pool. At least I'm looking at Chad Ford and what he did for his top 10 prospects of 2018. He said that 4 guys are stars. You look at this draft that he's currently is. He's sitting at like 9th or 10th when I put him in my big board. He's sitting like 9th or 10th with the current field. But right now, he's a guy that can compete for a top 5 spot. At least looking at what Chad Ford's talking about these guys in 2018.
I was gonna say this. Book it now. Put it on the whatever you want. I'm saying
way
it
too
here.
early.
Next year, when we get to the draft, when we have our who should be the number 1 pick, we're going to be debating between Michael Porter Jr. and Miles Bridges.
I don't know about that, but I think he's definitely going to be a top 5 pick and close to it just because, again, of his abilities. I mean, people saying he's needed work on a shot, but you also look at his shooting percentage. The kid's shooting like 38% from 3.
He's super talented.
He struggles at the free throw line, which is probably the reason why you're thinking, well, he needs to work on a shot. And
that's mechanics, though. I mean, repetition.
But also you look at his mechanics, and it's just something where it's more of a slow release, and he doesn't take the shots at the right time. Yeah. But, I mean, I look at him, and he's still got a nice-looking jumper. So, I mean, I look at him, and you see his athletic ability. If he can work on his ball handling skills, and just because, you look at a guy that he compares to, Jason Tatum, Josh Jackson, those guys that are at least in his field, he's a slower guy. He's not a guy that's going to be able to, be a point forward.
Right.
But if he can develop into a guy that might be able to have some possessions where he is a point forward, and also be a guy who can back you down in the low post like LeBron James can. Not saying he's going to be like LeBron James, but if he can be a guy that can use that big body, back a guy down and then hit a fadeaway jumper. I really like Miles Bridges, and I think that he can be a fantastic player. And again, looking at the 4 guys that Chad Ford said are going to be for sure prospects and for sure studs coming out. He's got Michael Porter Jr., like you mentioned, Luka Doncic. I have not worked on any of these pronunciations.
From Slovenia.
A guy from Slovenia, and he's a guy that had some unreal passing. I've seen some of his highlights, and even Chad Ford said he's the most heralded international prospect I've ever scouted, and he's 17 years old. He was 17 years old, already starting and averaging 8 points per game in the best league in Europe. So, I mean, high praises there. DeAndre Ayton and then Mohamed Bamba as well. So, I mean, these are 4 guys that are probably going to be top 4 for sure, one and dones because of their age and because of their ability. But then again, Miles Bridges, if he comes out next year, I still think he'd be a top 5 pick.
Yeah, no, I mean, what he has already is a fantastic body of work, and he gives you everything you want out of a modern day wing, which is awesome. Like, he's super dynamic. Like you said, though, it comes down to some of the lateral quickness and the ball handling that he can touch up. And to be honest, like, I don't even mind it, because going back, like, learning under Tom Izzo is probably one of the best things you can do as a young basketball player. He's one of the most heralded coaches in college basketball. If you got to pick his brain for another year, that'd be great for your own development and growth. My big concern here, as it always is like, if you have a 100% shot to make $6 million, or if you want to go ahead and risk it if you get injured, and maybe that takes it, the chance of an injury, who knows, the chance of what your draft stock could drop to. I mean, 100% versus question mark. I'm probably going to lean towards the guaranteed money and developing on an NBA team and with NBA trainers and year-round NBA focus versus the school work kind of a mix,
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's missing out on money. He's missing out a ton of money.
But that could pay dividends if he plays this season and gets more money if he's a top 3
pick. You're going from, 10 to 15 range to hopefully 1 to 5 at best possible
But even
chance.
if he stays where he is, if he's able to win a national championship.
if you Ivan Robb it and you're,
Yeah, if you Ivan Robb it and you go...
You don't improve your game?
You can completely fall off the floor. And Ivan Robb just got worse. I mean, if Miles Bridges continues to put up like 16 points per game,
he's probably still a lotto. Yeah,
he's still going to be a lottery pick.
Do we really think he's going to rob it though?
No, I think he's.
I didn't think Ivan Robb would either. Though.
I think he's going to skyrocket.
There's nothing about his game that said he would, which is kind of
But
interesting.
then again, he was also playing with Jaylen Brown. So
elevates the people around you.
Yeah, and then you look at that team. I think they're only losing Eron Harris,
and they also lost their coach, who's now in Mizzou with Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah, so I mean, you look at the players that Ivan Robb lost, and Ivan Robb maybe was just a little bit too overhyped because of he's kind of like might be a player that plays off players instead of being the guy where Miles Bridges was the guy already, and I think that he's not going to have that fallout. But the one thing I do worry about is, will he be that good of an NBA player? Because looking at Michigan State players, yes, Draymond Green's there, and he's fantastic, but Denzel Valentine, we don't really know what he's been able to do. Gary Harris has been pretty decent for the Nuggets, but then outside of that, I mean, you got Deonte Davis, again, way too young to call anything. Yep. Zach Randolph has been fantastic, but I mean, that was more of an older player. Like, recently we haven't seen guys step up big. I mean, Jason Richardson.
I'm glad you said recently, because I was going to say, oh man, this guy Magic Johnson. I don't know what he's been.
Okay, I'm saying Izzo era.
I don't know what Magic Johnson did.
I'm saying like 2000s. But like Zach Randolph, Jason Richardson, Draymond, obviously. But outside of that, I mean, I can't name stars that have come out of Michigan State.
I mean, I would think Draymond is a star, but not as like
Draymond's a star.
Not the same way that you would think of like Steph Curry or LeBron. It's not because he's a great athlete. He's a face, and he's
everybody
a star.
knows. Everybody knows Draymond Green.
But the thing that I look at Tom Izzo players, and Draymond's the perfect example, is it's one of those things where they don't need to be like Steph Curry can be the guy for the Warriors. Draymond Green knows his role on that team, and he's just going to be a good guy for that team. A great guy for that team, and that's what I think it is. And like Dave said, they've built a culture at Michigan State, and the thing I love the most is when you listen to him talk to the crowd, he goes, I got some unfinished business, and he kind of holds his hand in front of his face because he's shy in front of the crowd. And then he goes, I want to win a national title. And to me, that's the most important, because it kind of puts some value into that, where it wasn't I want to come back because I want to improve my draft stock. Of course, he's not going to say that to the crowd, but it's one of those things where
I don't know if this is a draft stock move. I think this is completely he wants to win a title.
Yeah. He wants to win a title at Michigan State, because I get a feeling from him that he bleeds that dark green, and that's what he is.
Well, he's from Michigan too.
Yeah, I get that. Do you feel like there leads to some concern about whether he thinks he's going to be super successful in the NBA because he wants to go for a championship now? Like, you see a lot of college players who know, like, maybe I'm not going to be the best NBA player, but I can get a national championship in college.
No, I think that plays more into being from Michigan, buying into the Izzo system. I think that's all that is because, I mean, yeah, I understand that, maybe it's more of I want to win now, so in case I don't win later.
That's what I'm saying.
That I understand, but I mean, then again, how many players go into the NBA thinking, all right, I'm coming here because I know I can win in the NBA and not in college? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how many players have that mindset where, Steph Curry's like, well, maybe Steph Curry,
Ben
that makes more sense.
Simmons, Markelle Fultz.
But then again, they went to shitty programs. They didn't go to Michigan State.
I know. I mean, I don't disagree. I'm just saying it's just like it's just a question, and I'm not thinking he does. I'm just wondering, like, do you feel like it's almost like a just in case I'm going to have this nice cherry on top?
The reason why I say no, it's because when he made the decision. If he's making this decision after the combine, by the time we get to that deadline where you have to like solidify your decision, and he says, "Nope, I've gone through everything. I want to come back." Then maybe
that's a pure draft move.
But he's made this move. So to me, early, where there are guys that we haven't even heard declare for the draft yet that we're expecting to declare. So for him to make the move now, I think it is solely he's not like. Of course, there might be a little bit of a thought of where he could get drafted, but I think more of his focus is on Michigan State playing for this team, winning a title.
Yeah, I think that's all this is. I don't think it's anything about the draft stock because, you want to add that cherry on top, but then again, I think it's more, but I don't think he's doing it for a cherry on top. I think it's because he wants to come back because, A, he said probably to Coach Izzo was like, we can win a national championship, and I think he sees that with his team. And also, he's from Michigan. I think he just wants to win it because he probably grew up a Michigan State fan. Again, I don't know too much about his personal life, but I know that he grew up with Josh Jackson. I know that him and Josh Jackson played on the same high school team. Josh Jackson was supposed to go, and even called Izzo, being like, hey, sorry, but I'm going to go to Kansas. Like, he has Michigan in his blood. I think it's more of he just wants to help Michigan State win a basketball
and I think
a championship.
It also comes down to the mindset has to be, you know what, I'm just going to play my game, and I know I'm a good player, and you know what, if I play to the best of my abilities, all the draft stuff is just going to fall into place on its own. I just got to go out there and
media
play
friendly guy right there.
That's the mindset. That's the mindset you have to have as a player. You can't worry about this draft stuff, all this what if.
I think
just
I'm just
go out there
kind of
and play
swayed.
your game.
I think I'm kind of swayed because I watched that 30 for 30 on Calipari, and that was phenomenal. By the way, if you guys haven't checked out, go watch it.
We're not endorsed by ESPN.
No, we're not. Not in any way, but it is a fantastic watch, and it kind of makes you think about...
Or read his book. That was an amazing read.
It makes you think about like the players who, if you've got a chance, invest in yourself. You are the lottery ticket kind of thing. And
that's the culture that he's built at Kentucky.
It's the culture he believes in because have you watched it?
I have not watched it.
It was the story about how what was his name? It was a first-round pick who went to Cleveland, who... then medical issues out of the league within 2 years. And it was just like, that's it. That's done. And his life's over. It was like early 2000s.
His life's over?
No, like
died,
his career is over.
Wow. When was this? UMass or Kentucky?
Dave just goes, if you're not in the NBA, your career, your life is over, man.
But then again, with
it was a Cleveland pick in there, I want to say like 2002 through 2003. I forget the name of the player.
So was this a UMass kid?
Jamal Crawford in 2000. I'm going to find it.
All right. Thanks, Ricky, for
what I want to
fact-checking.
mention is kind of going back to the Michigan State players. You haven't really seen those guys break off, though. I mean, like, the guys that make it to the NBA and that are stars in the NBA, it's like Jason Richardson, Draymond Green, Gary Harris, Denzel. Like, you haven't seen those guys really get banged up. I mean, Denzel's probably the only one with, like, actual injury problems.
And he had that in college, so it's not even anything new.
And he played 4 years there. So, I mean, I think that Miles Bridges is making a good thing. One thing I want to bring up, though, is when you look at him play, because I have mine in mind, what player would you compare him to? Like, looking back, because I think the one player that I would say is possibly Paul Pierce, but less of a shooter. Like, he doesn't have that Paul Pierce shot.
He doesn't have the touch of Paul Pierce, because I think he works better down low, too. So that's why I'm leaning away from Paul Pierce. I'm not sure exactly who I would comp him to.
But he can drive. But he can. See, like, he's not just a post player. So I say he's like, because he's not that quick, and Paul Pierce wasn't that quick.
Yeah.
But then again, Paul Pierce was like deceptively athletic.
Yeah.
And I feel like Miles Bridges is also deceptively athletic. But Paul Pierce wasn't a great passer. Miles Bridges wasn't a great passer. Like at least like point forward wise, like Paul Pierce can control your offense.
Yeah.
But he's not like a point guard in a 6'8" body.
This is the original Paul Pierce, not the version you see today. For anyone who hasn't watched early Paul Pierce,
no,
his game was different.
This is the truth.
Young.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, this is the truth, not the what's it called? The Make-A-Wish kid.
The Make-A-Wish kid. But it was DeJuan Wagner.
Yeah,
was who it was. He was from
an absolute
Memphis.
stud.
I don't think he was German. I think it's just Devon Wagner.
No, it's Wagner.
Is it?
It's Wagner. That's how I say it.
Boom.
No, it's
just how my name's technically Widmer.
Okay, but I don't think that kid's German is what I'm saying.
I'm going to say it
or
Wagner.
Polish.
I'm going to say it Wagner.
Either way, he was
my last name's German.
Extremely good player, and he came out in the NBA, and if he hadn't come out, he wouldn't have had medical coverage for the rest of his life.
Okay.
It's an extreme case, but it's one of those ones that makes you go, man, I can see the reason why I would give up any more time in college if you're guaranteed that kind of life-changing money.
But then again, you could also it's life-changing money. And I'm not saying it's not, but really it's more of what you want to do. And if he doesn't feel like he's going to get injured, I mean, it's tough to say like I'm making this because
no one feels like
anxious.
they're going to get injured.
Yeah, I'm anxious.
I'm
anxious
Derrick
about
Rose is
this.
like, this knee, I'm feeling something funny over here.
God, I cried when that happened.
I don't think he's making a mistake. That's just personally my idea.
I don't want to say a mistake. I just think that if I were him,
that's the question.
If
Dave.
I were in his
that's
shoes,
the title of the video.
If I were in his
shoes,
shoes, I would have came out.
So, do you think he's making a mistake though?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah.
Because he might get injured.
Yeah.
And is it the money as well?
It's guaranteed money, and you're going to a team that will be better this year than you're going to next year.
I don't know.
If you raise your draft stock.
I don't think money's everything. I think Denzel Valentine's recognized at Michigan State. Draymond Green's recognized at Michigan State.
Magic, you get to be big man on campus in college.
Magic's recognized as big man at State. You also look at a guy like Deontay Davis. That guy's not going to be remembered as a Michigan State Spartan even if he takes off. So I don't know. I don't think he's making a mistake.
I love it. I don't think it's a mistake at all. And the reason I may be a little jaded is because this is what I want college basketball to be. Not necessarily
the best players playing.
Well, not just necessarily seniors, but like I kind of hate the one and done thing because we see them for a year and then they're in the NBA. This gives it one of those things where we get to see them a little bit more in the college world. And I know if you're a fan of like both the NBA and basketball, you're sitting there, but Ricky, I'm still going to be able to see them. But I'm talking just for the college
It builds
fans.
kind of like a story for the team too. Like you watch players who are like 3-year players in college, and like we might be talking about him later, but like Justin Jackson, where it's a guy like watching him come in from an elite prospect to watching him struggle early in his career and able to grow and able to change his game.
Not just that, you get the story of him on that team. They lose the national title they hit like Marcus Page hits what we thought was the leaner game winner. It's over.
Well, it was tied.
And then Archie Diacono pass off to Jenkins hits the game winner.
It was tied, right?
Coming back from that to winning the national title this next year, coming back and winning it the year after. You get those storylines when players stay. I'm not saying that everybody should be forced to stay a year. I'm just saying that's what I like about college basketball, and I'm kind of glad that Bridges decided to stay.
Do you know what? I wish that the rule was implemented back when LeBron was a young boy.
So he had to play.
That he had to play at college because
he had to go to Akron and play for the Zips.
Because man, if that
he's a hometown kid, Dave.
If that kid played college,
he's
currently putting up.
Or would he go to Cleveland State? I don't know.
If he's currently putting
he might have got some offers from bigger schools.
I'm trying to end the segment.
Ohio State.
I'm trying to end the segment here, guys.
Do you think he would have been a Buckeye? Seriously, though.
Anyways, tell us what you think about Miles Bridges down in the comments down below. What I was going to mention is it would be crazy seeing a guy who's currently putting up 14, 8, and 4.5 in an NBA playoff game. But be interesting.
But seriously, what team do you think LeBron would have played for?
I don't fucking know.
Okay.
He probably got offers from somewhere.
Just wanted to throw it out there.
We'll look it up after.
Okay.
We'll look it up after. We'll see.
Okay.
We see. But we got to move on to overrated prospects. We got to move on, Ricky.
Thank you. Oh, shit. Oh, it's just one of our videos scared me a little bit. Don't forget to check out that one. And also don't forget to check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. But thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.